Hi everyone, Mr. Colson here. So I'm doing the assembly this week for Key Stage 3. And our theme for this term, as you know, is leadership. So we're looking all about different leadership opportunities in schools, how we can lead our own learning, and all the different things we can do around leadership. But today, I'm going to focus on inspirational leaders. What is it that makes somebody inspirational, that makes other people want to follow them or copy them? How is it that we can inspire others? So to start the assembly, I asked a few people in Key Stage 3 who they find inspirational and why. So here are some of the answers.
I would say Martin Luther King is inspirational because of how we rally people up against racism, and his statements always have stick to this day, and that makes him really inspirational because racism is a big problem in the world. So that's why Martin Luther King is very inspirational to me.
I would say my dance teacher inspires me because there's days where I won't feel like it, and she always inspire me to keep going.
I think Miss McComb inspires me because she always tells me how to do things better.
Cristiano Ronaldo is my inspiration because he's so successful. Pele's my inspiration because he's a great footballer.
My inspiration is Muhammad Ali because he never gave up and he's a really good boxer and he believed in what he believed.
My inspiration is Valentino Rossi because he's the most successful motorbike racer.
So we heard a bit of a range of answers there, didn't we? From inspirational sports people through to historical figures and even Mrs. McComb being mentioned, which is always nice. And so it made me think, what is it that makes somebody inspirational? What is it that linked all those people that we just heard in the video? And actually, all of them, they do something impressive, something that makes you think, wow, I don't know how they managed to do that, but I wish I was able to do it. I would like to try to do that. So that might be an amazing footballer you might see. You might think the skills that he can show are incredible. The way he scores so many goals, like Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm going to work hard. I would like to try and emulate that. I know for me, I always find things like musical performances, something that I struggle with. Really high quality music. It inspires me. It makes me, I wish I could do that. That person is so impressive. Artwork or things like that as well, I know inspire me. And I'm going to tell you an example about somebody who I find particularly inspiring, somebody who I think, I don't know how they managed to do that. I wish I was able to do that. I wish I was more like that. And that's a story about someone called Maximilian Kolbe. And some of you may have heard of Maximilian Kolbe. He was a Christian. He was a priest. And during World War II, he was captured by the Nazis in Poland, and he was sent to Auschwitz concentration camp, along with thousands and thousands of other people, mostly Jewish people. And while he was there, one of the prisoners managed to escape. And the guards came, they got everybody together, and to try and deter people, to stop them from escaping in the future, what they used to do was if somebody managed to escape, they would take 10 random prisoners, and they would kill them. And the way they would kill them is they'd put them in a prison cell and they would starve them to death. And one of the people who was randomly chosen wasn't Maximilian Kolbe. It was a man, and I'm going to try and pronounce his name correctly, Franciszek Gajowniczek, okay? Franciszek Gajowniczek. And as he was chosen, he cried out, he said, my wife, my kids, I'm never going to see them again. And he burst down in tears. And as you can imagine, he was so upset about the fact that he was chosen to be killed. And Maximilian Kolbe looked around and he thought, actually, maybe I can take his punishment. And so Maximilian Kolbe, he thought of the other person. And that's why I think it's so fantastic. That's our school motto. And Maximilian Kolbe, he said, do you know what, guards, Nazi guards, can I take his place? Can I take the place of Franciszek Gajowniczek? Can I be one of the 10 who get killed? Instead, I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. I'd rather take his place and let this man hopefully survive the war and go and see his family. And the guards were so taken aback. They actually said, yes. They said, go on then. So Maximilian Kolbe was put in solitary confinement, and he was left there for 10 days, and that he was killed. He died and he lost his life. The war finished a few years later, and Franciszek Gajowniczek actually went back, and he did meet his wife again, and he met his children again. And he lived to the age of 93. And he gave lots of talks. He was so inspired by Maximilian Kolbe that he gave lots of talks about him. And the phrase he kept saying is, he said, I want to express my thanks for the gift of life. So Maximilian Kolbe, the reason why I find him so inspirational, that he was able to think of the other person to such an extent that he was able to give up his life so that somebody else could survive. And as I say earlier, that's something that I think is incredibly impressive, something that I don't think I would be able to do that. I wish I could, but I don't think I'd be able to. But I would like to be more like that. I would like to be able to think of the other person like Maximilian Kolbe was able to. And that's something I'd like to challenge all of you watching to try and do more of. So as we think of the other person, and we see it around school all the time, we see people looking out for each other, translating things into other languages to help pupils who are new to this school. We see people picking up litter that's not even their litter, people staying behind to help tidy up a class, people staying behind to thank a teacher and say, thank you for my lesson, miss, or sir, I really enjoyed it. People looking out for their friends, people cheering each other up when someone's having a bad day. When we see people thinking of the other person, that to me is truly inspiring. And we see it at LPA all the time. And so that's my thought for this assembly about what can you do to inspire others? How can you think of the other person to such an amazing extent that other people are inspired by you to copy you? Now, I'm hoping none of you will ever be in a position that Maximilian Kolbe was in, but are you able to think of other people in a similar way to that? Okay. And so just to finish the assembly, I just want to say well done to everyone in Key Stage 3. I think we've had a really fantastic start to Term 5 back after Easter. And we've been really impressed by your behaviour, really, your attitude, how hard you're working in class. I've been into lots of lessons, and I've been really impressed by seeing people put their hand up, people joining in with lessons, and really going the extra mile to work hard. We've got end-of-year exams coming up, not in the next couple of weeks, but towards the end of this term, possibly into Term 6. And it's just worth thinking about that, about thinking, how am I going to end this year on a real high? We've had a lot of challenges this year, a lot of successes. A lot of you have done absolutely brilliantly. But how are we going to make sure that we're really prepared for our end-of-year exams? Could you ask your teachers about it? Okay. And how can we make sure we have a really positive end to the year? But as I say, it's been fantastic since Easter. We've all been really impressed with everybody in Key Stage 3. So final point, just to think back to that idea of inspirational leadership and how you can inspire others. Maybe if you've got a little bit of time now as your tutor finishes this video, or maybe if you're in a lesson, maybe you could just spend a couple of minutes talking to each other or sharing some ideas with the class about who inspires you. Who is it who inspires you? Why do they inspire you? And what could you do to inspire others? Okay, thank you very much for listening.